It is time for what should be an awesome match of Terran versus Terran. What I got for you today is a Gold League match played on Abyssal Reef LE. Spawning in the southeast corner, playing with the red SCVs, we have none other than Pontu King. And his opponent spawning in a cross position and playing in blue, playing with the Terran SCVs as well. He goes by the nickname of Unknown. Now you'd imagine someone called Unknown, you know, he would like at the very least try and be anonymous or something, but it's kind of funny that he capitalized the K and the N there, and obviously put a lowercase u at the beginning there, so I guess when you meet him on the ladder, you can still easily pick out which of the unknowns, any of the 10,000s that are, you know, called Unknown on the ladder, you are indeed playing. Like I mentioned, this is going to be a Gold League match, so if you've got a crazy game yourself as well, this is indeed a game submitted to me by a viewer. But if you've got a wild game that you think is suitable for me to go ahead and cast as well, go ahead and submit it to replays at LowkoTV. Just simply attach the .sc2 replay file to the email and send it over, and Motlis and Nuke are going through literally every single one of them, and they are selecting the best for me to cast. Unknown opening up with that quick refinery will be able to start up that first barracks as well. Very normal opener right here. However, on the other side of the map, Pontu King has started up the double barracks here. Of course, the double barracks does open up a couple of, you know, defensive options here as well. But more often than not, it is going to be an aggressive Reaper opener instead. No third barracks being added on. I would actually love to see a third barracks right now as a general rule of thumb. Even though the top of the line Terran players oftentimes do open up with 2 barracks only. The reason why that is that, well, most of the time their micro is so good that they won't be losing any of the Reapers here in the earlier stages of the game. And if you are obviously anywhere below, like, I would say like top 50 Grandmaster or so on the European or North American server, or maybe even the Asian one, although I guess the Asian server is a little trickier to play on. Regardless though, if you are anywhere below like top 50 Grandmaster, I would probably advise you to open up with triple barracks instead, because 2 racks, it does rely on your micro being on point. Doesn't really matter though. Pontu King is indeed running with all of these new Terran skins, by the way. Look at it, it's just a tad bit different right there. They've now got twisty little arms, I think. I don't actually know if the original skins do have that, but at the same time, the first Reaper is going to make his way across. And while we did see a Reaper on the production tab here as well for the blue Terran player, he's going to leave that at home to at the very least use it defensively for a little while. Reaper going to go straight after the SCVs right now inside of that main mineral line. Nice micro backwards so far. Doesn't want to lose that first Reaper, of course, but they do heal outside of combat because of those combat drugs that they have. So they're going to be able, he's going to be able to send it back into the main base very, very quickly afterwards. And here we go. Now, nice little bit of target firing there, but Unknown, no, Unknown! Could have had the kill right there, but instead he ends up losing his own Reaper. And at this point, Pontu King, nice micro by him. He's going to be able to continue that damage. Beautiful kiting back there, trying to make the most of his units. And while he did just miss micro for a second, right now he is getting a ton of value out of the Reapers that he did create in the earlier stages of this game. Although I say that, and he... Oh, man. I say that. I think that is the caster curse right there, because apparently all of the Reaper corpses are now floating to the surface. That is Abyssal Reef LE. Ooh, nice little bit of micro backwards, but he did end up getting surrounded right there by a bunch of SCVs. I mean, he was dealing with the Reapers and then the Marines really well, and then he got surrounded by SCVs. Not entirely sure what happened there, but regardless, while Unknown did make a second command center there very, very quickly, he is currently behind when it comes to the income count, and then also, of course, the amount of workers that he's got right now. And actually, another cheeky little Reaper making his way to the back of this mineral line, right? Trying to do whatever damage he can, and I can't help but wonder what would have happened if Pontu King would have opened up with triple barracks instead, right? Even if he would have not microed it perfectly, I think he would be able to deal so much more damage while still being in a very similar situation, you know, economically speaking, at home. Speaking of which, he did add on that second command center, and of course, he's also now following it up with that tech lab on the factory, and then the starport here too. So he's going to switch into that very standard Marine siege tank medevac composition that is so very popular in the Terran versus Terran matchup. Now, even though Unknown, he ended up losing 10 SCVs here in the earlier part of the game, right? Even though Unknown ended up losing a lot, he's actually not in a bad position here whatsoever. I mean, he's got that second command center. I would love for him to actually morph this command center into an orbital command. I mean, probably the most important unit for Terran players in general. It sounds a little bit silly, but it's probably the Mule. I mean, the Mule brings in so much economy, and I mean, the longer that the command center is available, the more income, or the orbital command rather, is going to be available, the more income you're going to be able to generate as well. As a matter of fact, yeah, most of the time, you most definitely want to morph in the orbital command first, then lift it up and fly it to the natural, just to accumulate a tad more energy on those command centers and therefore get more income. Like, when you think about it, a mule mines for, like, I don't know exactly how much it is. They've changed it up a bunch in the past, but basically 2 mules pay for the entire building of both the command center as well as the orbital command. So, like, the amount of income you get out of it, it's very significant, and so far Unknown still not quite getting that orbital command in the natural, so losing out on a little bit of potential income. So far though, speaking of which, Unknown's macro has been on point. Look at the amount of resources that he's got so far. Definitely making the best of that situation. Now, interestingly enough, he's not transitioned towards a tech lab on the factory just yet. A little bit late on that. He will be able to get a double Medevacs out, however, and that means that he's opening up the potential to go for a timing attack here against his opponent very shortly once these double Medevacs come out. And on top of that, he's already finished up the research of Stimpak, so he will be able to do quite a bit of damage, in particular if Pawn to King decides to move across the map himself as well. So far though, Pawn to King definitely does look like he's sitting very comfortable in this defensive position. Got the double siege tanks, of course, and while Unknown will not be able to engage those 2 siege tanks while they are in siege mode whatsoever, he's going to be able to, at the very least, potentially, like, drop inside of the mineral line and do some economic damage that way. We do see that tech lab being added on right now as well for Unknown, so shortly he's going to be capable of not only getting himself, you know, some of those siege tanks out, but potentially some upgrades here as well. And actually double barracks now being added on here, so Unknown is definitely going to stick on 2 bases for a little while longer. Now, speaking of which, there may no longer be 2 bases here for one of these players very shortly, because look at this. Right when the red Terran player moves across the map, right, he loaded up the double siege tanks inside of those Medevacs as well, so a handful of Marines are indeed making their way towards that natural while the siege tanks are moving towards the main base. Unknown is dropping off inside of the main of the red Terran player, and he's already dealing so much damage, picking up a lot of these rallied units as well. I think he killed 1 siege tank that was sieged up in that little corner, and while, you know, he's definitely going to lose one of his own siege tanks here as well, and he's going to have some trouble inside of his own main base. As it looks right now, the entire red main base is going to be absolutely demolished in just a matter of seconds. Stimpak once again activated. Of course, these Medevacs keep these units alive for such an extended period of time, and so many SCVs already end up dying. In the meantime, though, on the other side of the map, we do see that continued harassment here by the red Terran player, trying to make the most of the units here that were on that low ground. But a Medevacs out of position will indeed allow them to get cleaned up by the blue Terran's Marines here as well. One hero Marine apparently had a death wish. He decided to move up that ramp while taking a lot of the siege tank shells there, as well as a bunch of those hits from those Marines. But at the same time, Unknown, he's currently got a huge amount of Marines on the other side of the map, and they are not being dealt with here whatsoever. Currently going after that orbital command in the natural, dealing a whole lot of damage to it, and I do think that that one will end up getting killed. The same can be said, however, for the old main base of Unknown. Going after some of the buildings right now as well is Pawn to King. He's trying to make the most of the units that he's got here, and actually these Marines have now left the position that they were in previously, and Unknown indeed will be forced to just simply lift up and get all of his buildings on out of there, whereas at the same time, apparently the reinforcing Terran Marines that were counter-attacking for a while will be sent back home, giving Pawn to King another means to an end. I mean, look at this. He's going to be capable of dropping those mules, and I would love for him to go ahead and do so here very, very shortly, but I'm assuming he's kind of busy here microing at home at this, or at the opponent's side of the map. At the same time, though, we do see those Medevacs unloading here, trying to make the best of this, and a couple of these Marines trying to close the distance to that siege tank. They will be able to do a decent job at exactly that, but while one of the Medevacs ends up following, actually second one too, I would love for him to just simply load up the Marines inside of that, yeah, and drop them on top of the siege tank. Oh man, I actually, wait, no, this Unknown! You knew that you were getting shot at, my man. I would love for him to simply just pick up every single last of these units here. Interestingly enough, I looked at that and I assumed that the Unknown would end up losing every single last of his units, but he actually managed to deal with those Medevacs, or with those Marines and siege tanks quite nicely. Now, apparently, we've got a couple of peaceful Marines now also moving across, but all things considered, right, Pawn to King has still got a bunch of mining going on. At the same time, Unknown did land his command center at a different point on the map as well. Pretty obvious where this is going to be, but of course, the Terran player in red currently has no idea about this. We get aggression all over the map, though, because apparently Unknown is indeed still taking damage from those siege tanks and now also some reinforcing Marines. Liberator, however, is going to be very painful here. He will be able to see exactly where these SCVs are idling. It's not like they're really working or whatever, but there is most definitely going to be the potential to deal some damage. And at the same time, Unknown is currently going after that orbital command. He will be able to shut it down here very shortly. It's currently burning already, and once more he is target firing it. So that means that Pawn to King does not have any place anymore to return those beautiful blue mineral patches. Trying to hide one of the SCVs in the corner of the main base. He does still have enough income here, or enough resources available to build up another command center. At the same time though, the Liberators have now come into action, and they're picking up every single last of these buildings as well. And Pawn to King immediately rebuilding a command center inside of his main base. That is so... Are you kidding me, dude? Like, you could hide it anywhere, and you put it in plain sight when you know the Terran opponent's right there. I guess he really did not want to be revealed. At the same time, though, he's cleaning up a lot of the buildings of his opponent, and that's actually the last command center as well for Unknown. As it is right now, Unknown actually... He did end up losing every single last of his SCVs, so that means that currently, while he has only 2 medevacs and 7 marines out, we are starting to get to a point in this game where we've got a bit of a weird base trade going on. Like, when you think about it, right? I think that Pawn to King is probably better off just simply rallying all of his units back, like, home, to make sure that he doesn't lose every last of his buildings. He needs to make sure that he keeps his command center alive. Now, so far, Unknown does have vision of it. He does scout exactly what's going on. We'll be able to gun down that single SCV as well. Nice bit of micro there, preventing his opponent from, you know, simply building up a huge amount of economy here once again, or at the very least, like, finishing up that CC. I think that that may have actually been the last, yeah, it was the last SCV for the red Terran player as well. So I think that this means that we got a bit of a weird situation here, because neither of these players is going to be able to continue constructing anything anymore. Unknown has got 11 army supply, but Pawn to King does have a bunch of marines, but more importantly, a single siege tank. Does he have a medevac as well? There's no more medevacs actually. There's 2 Liberators here, a single siege tank, and then 7 marines. At the same time, there's double medevac, as well as 7 marines here for Unknown. And of course, this actually could be... This could still be decent here for the blue Terran player. And actually, when you think about it, Unknown can just simply lift up all of his buildings and hang them in the corner. And while there are indeed Liberators available to shut those units down, there are no more buildings here available for the red Terran player to hang in a corner, because the last 2 buildings that are available for him are indeed these 2 refineries. So as long as Unknown gets in here, right, before his opponent is going to be able to deal the damage, this is going to be pretty solid for him. Now, I'm actually a little worried here for these Liberators. I mean, we all know the strength of Stimp Marines. With double medevacs accumulating energy, they're going to be able to keep those units alive for an extended period of time. But at this point, both of the players have got full vision of exactly what's going on. They know where the final buildings are at, and he knows that the last of the buildings here that are available for the red Terran player are going to be these double refineries. At the same time, Pawn to King, I mean, does he really want to, like, fly these units too far away to try and pick off some of his opponent's army and potentially a building or 2? This is going to get risky very, very fast. The question is here, will either of these players commit? I mean, they could just simply sit back right here and the draw will be triggered here soon. Right? The draw will be triggered here very soon. There should be a timer appearing in just a second or so, explaining how long it will take before this game will end, because nothing has been killed for quite a little bit of time. But apparently Pawn to King is going to pick up this single barracks that is hanging out in the corner of the map. Now, Liberators, their anti-air damage is nothing impressive, but eventually they'll be able to kill this. I think that he still will be able to, yeah, he actually still will be able to keep these refineries alive. I actually wonder here, could Unknown load up the medevacs with all of the marines that he's got and then, like, land them right over there? I mean, he could potentially just simply hit the refineries from the low ground, right? He just needs to get them to low HP so he can pick them off a little bit later. He's scouting ahead, though, with one of the medevacs that he's got, making sure that he knows the amount of units that are here. And he did just spot that there are a bunch of units. Now, the game will indeed end in just a little bit, but at the same time, these Liberators will be able to... Where's the second one? Where'd the other Liberator go? Oh, apparently it gets all the way sent back home. Okay, fair enough. They will have to kill this barracks here before the 2-minute timer ends, because otherwise this game just simply, you know, is forced into a draw. Unknown is already asking for it right now. He doesn't really want to commit here, because if he loses these Marines, he's going to be in a ton of trouble. I think he could abuse the high ground, though. I'm pretty sure a Marine in this, like, position here is going to be capable of, like, hitting these units reasonably well, and I don't think that siege tank is going to be in range. No, the siege tank won't be able to hit that. I guess the Liberator will provide high ground vision, however. It's going to be tricky. Anyway, we'll see whether or not this barracks will end up dying within a minute and 20 seconds. I do think that the second Liberator is going to be a necessity. He is indeed sending that one back towards the corner as well, recognizing too that this game will otherwise end. Apparently, the barracks is now currently being floated over. I think that Unknown actually has got a pretty good chance of winning this game. Basically, what I think he's waiting for right now is to see when his opponent is trying to make a move, right? For these last refineries and then also this tech lab. Right? And then just simply drop and kill these 2 refineries. I mean, it's going to be tricky. Neither of these players really wants to make the decision here. Now, 50 seconds remaining. Unknown is trying to land the barracks. But it will indeed burn to death here in just a matter of seconds. So look at that. That, you know, amount of HP is very quickly dropping. And that will once again trigger, well, the fact that there's no Stalemate detected anymore. Unknown, however, does now have the Medivacs in position. This is going to get crazy really fast here. Whenever either of these players wants to commit, right? That's when things are becoming very, very risky. I would love to actually see him put it on hold position so he can keep close track on whether or not these units are moving across the map. Currently, though, Ponto King doesn't know where these last Medivacs are located, although he's going to fight him right now. He's going to find him, and that's a big, big, big amount of... Ooh, no, 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 no. That is a big amount of information there. One of these Marines does end up getting burned to the ground underwater. I know, that's impressive right there. I think that at this point, though, this is going to be a tricky one for either of these players to win. And I would not be surprised if shortly we once again get into like a stalemate kind of situation. I mean, it really depends on if one of these guys wants to commit, right? He could, technically speaking, just leave the siege tank at home and maybe like bring like 3 Marines and then like the double Liberator. I think that, technically speaking, if he micros it well, should be enough against these. I think it's 6 Marines in total, with one of them currently sitting, you know, beautifully in that medevac. I'm a little worried though, because with good micro, there's no way that these Marines... No, come on, dude. Oh, come on, that was so silly. I was gonna say, there's no way that these Marines will not gun down these Liberators here eventually. I mean, they're gonna be able to have each other's back, right? But there's no repairing on them or whatever, so every hit that he gets is gonna be one that he can call an advantage. And at this point, here we go. This is what I'm talking about, right? He's gonna be able to gun these things down easily. I think with a couple of Marines here, he could be able to potentially like zone these Marines outside of their own natural and then pick up the buildings here inside of the main base. But these siege tank, or these Marines and then the single siege tank, they're just simply sitting there looking pretty. One of the Liberators still alive, but there's no way he's going to be able to do anything with that. And actually losing one of the Liberators is a rather big deal. I mean, Unknown now did make it across the map as well. So I really wonder who's going to be able to pick up a victory here. It could actually still potentially be a draw. Unknown. I mean, he ended up losing 2 Marines there for absolutely no particular reason. I guess just simply a little bit of miss micro. But once more, Stalemate has been detected. So we see another one of those timers here at 2 minutes. Ponto King still trying to keep track here of where this Terran bio army is located. Currently, he knows that he needs to still only destroy a small part of this army, but so far, he's just simply getting tickled to death here by all of those Marines. I mean, he's taking a little bit of damage here and there, but slowly, he is indeed reduced to a smaller amount of hit points. And here we go. Ponto King finally making a move for it. He has decided what he wants to do. He has decided that he wants to try and see if he can still win this game. He loaded up all of the units here, but at the same time, one of the medevacs is now moving across. This is not the one that's got the units in it. The one that's got the units in it is actually... No. The one with the units in it is right in front of it as well. This is gonna get really crazy really fast, isn't it? I mean, Ponto King currently trying to check out where those double medevacs are located. He knows they're supposed to be somewhere around here. At the same time, he's moving all of the units that he's got across the map. He knows fully well that this game will end in 1 minute. He needs to kill a building here. He needs to kill a building if he wants to prevent the stalemate. At the same time, though, he's only using the medevac right now to try and scout out whether or not the siege tank and the Marines are still located here. There we do indeed see Unknown going after that tech lab. And I'm wondering whether or not Unknown needs to just simply... No, you need to load up. Boost in there. You need to kill these last 2 refineries if you want to obtain the victory. But I think it's already a little bit too late. Just in the nick of time, Ponto Kill. Or Ponto King, rather. Well, Ponto Kill, I guess, would be accurate, too. He ends up picking up the last of the buildings of the blue Terran player. And he does indeed, even though this looked to be a draw for a long time, he does indeed pick up the victory. I hope that you enjoyed watching this match. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. And other than that, I want to thank you very much so for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile or write, and I will see you in the next one.